Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Made with Switcher Live featuring Chris Strub, aka the Giving Day guy. This is a series all about Switcher Studio creators and sharing the awesome work that they're doing with live video. So, welcome, Chris, for joining us.
Howdy. Great to see you, Ernesto.
Yeah, great to see you too.
What an intro.
Yeah, well,
that was awesome.
Was pretty cool, huh?
That was fun, for sure.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a sneak peek at one of the new features coming to Switcher Studio very soon. So you'll be able to do an alpha channel video. So that was a transparent video playing on top of our, live video. So you can now mix together transparent video with cameras and overlays and everything else. So very cool.
We're breaking news here already, even before the show even starts.
Right. Oh, look, another one. That's awesome.
Oh, that's great. It's just actually snowing in my apartment. That's what's
happening.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Neat. That wasn't you. That was
me. Very cool. So, I'm Ernesto with Switcher Studio. I'm a senior software engineer and co-founder at Switcher. And then Chris, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hey, so first off, thanks for having me, Ernesto. This is awesome and an honor. My name is Chris Strub. I do call myself the Giving Day guy, and we'll talk a lot about what that means here today. I'm here in Greenville, South Carolina. I call this the Fly the W studio as a Chicago Cubs fan, right up the road from Louisville there. And really just honored to be a Switcher creator and be able to take a little time today to share my story and a little bit about what drives me and how I use Switcher to help giving days around the US raise tens of millions of dollars year after year.
Very cool. Yeah, I actually used to be in fundraising when I was working in higher education and did a lot of giving days myself. And it's such a cool way to get people to donate, and it's fun. It's fun for everyone. So it's very cool. Yeah. So I wanted to encourage everyone to leave some comments while we're live, and we'll do our best to answer those. And I think we'll be getting into kind of more of a technical discussion today, which will be a lot of fun for you guys. So, yeah, I guess let's get started. Chris, did you have anything else to
add? Let's dive right in. We've got a fun agenda planned. This is going to be cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, very cool. So, we're going to talk about a couple things like multi-views and lower thirds and backgrounds and comments on the screen and color palettes and things like that. But what's your favorite thing? Like what of those features, what kind of helps you create these Giving Day videos? And maybe talk about what a Giving Day is, because maybe a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah. So a Giving Day is generally a 24-hour, although it could be longer or shorter, a 24-hour period where nonprofit organizations in a given community, whether it's a city, a county, a state, or a region, come together to fundraise as much as they can in a 24-hour period. And I generally work with the central organization, like the Community Foundation of Louisville, for example, is one of them, to create live streamed video that really shares the stories of the Giving Day, the nonprofits that are participating, the sponsors, and local influencers who might be involved in helping, push those fundraising efforts. It's a lot of fun. Some of the viewers might be familiar with Giving Tuesday, which is always that first Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Giving days are really sort of an offshoot of that Giving Tuesday concept, and they happen year round. They happen in cities and states all around the country. And I'm very blessed to be working with a lot of them, with Switcher. So, when you ask about what really, and I love to see that shout out to the Community Foundation of Louisville as well. When you talk about creating this style of video, I know a lot of Switcher creators have their own individual niches. There's a lot of sports creators and religious services being streamed, some business events. For me, Ernesto, I'm really trying to create almost like a news magazine style combined with a telethon style video where we're trying to share as many stories throughout the day as we can. In the past, a lot of that has been done in person. So I'll grab the Osmo. We'll set up some tripods and we'll actually go on scene and speak to people. Over the last year and a half, we've really relied a lot more, as everyone has, on virtual approaches. So using Switcher Studio's virtual guest feature to bring in as many guests as we possibly can throughout the day. And now here in 2021, we're sort of creating what I call the hybrid model, where sometimes we'll have guests come in real life, and sometimes we'll do it all virtually. And oftentimes it's some combination of both. So when you ask that question about what feature of Switcher really has made the biggest difference for me, I would say, as Ryan is reconfiguring our video a little bit, it's these multi-views. Right. And I know that you and the dev team there are responsible for creating a lot of these concepts, but you can see below me there how we're able to configure our live stream in a way that brings in multiple people at the same time. And using Switcher's newer multi-view approach, you're able to see in this example, I was the host. We had the guests lined up on the side of the screen there, and then we would transition in and readjust to put more of the focus on the individual guest. So I am obsessed with the visual possibilities that you can create with Switcher Studio, and I've loved really imagining different ways to use those features in all these different giving days.
Very amazing. Yeah. One of the things with giving days is like, people tend to donate if they have a connection with the cause, right? And a lot of times it mostly depends on, maybe there's a specific story or a specific person that they connect with, and that drives them to donate. And if you can succeed at that, especially over like a 24-hour period, that's a whole day where you can have many, many stories, have those shared out to many, many people, and kind of it has this like snowball effect of helping people get the word out and finally donate to the cause. So it's really cool that you're able to share so many stories in really relatively short amount of time and get that message out there. It's really great.
It's been really fantastic to be able to rely on Switcher Studio's video chat feature, and you see a lot of these different faces, and Ryan's playing some of that B-roll video as well. The video chat feature has worked marvelously for me over the last year and a half to be able to bring in voices from sometimes around a county, or just last week in New Hampshire, we were bringing in people from all around the state of New Hampshire at the same time. The video quality has been beautiful. It's very simple for people to join in. So, I know a lot of Switcher creators might be used to setting up different cameras internally, but I've really relied a lot on that virtual guest feature to be able to interview and be able to spotlight a lot of those stories that really inspire people to get out and donate and drive those positive results.
That's really great. Yeah. And I've noticed that in a lot of these, you have the live donation counts going through, you have lower thirds for people's names. Like, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. This has been a years-long journey for me with Switcher, and that, Ernesto, and maybe some of the other team members are listening too. I've really enjoyed seeing how the product has evolved over the years. And you guys do such a marvelous job of listening to creators like me, in the Facebook groups and, through email and tickets and all those different things. And so these configurations that you're seeing and these little wrinkles have been a product of iterating and trying new things and seeing what really resonates with people. This year, for example, you did see that we had that cut in the long horizontal C window across the bottom. And that is really just using Switcher Cast to be able to show what is a running total on the website. And all of my clients and all of the viewers have just obsessed over how cool it is to be able to see that live count on the live stream, whether they're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or wherever they might be. So, it's a matter of trial and error, as I think all things in live streaming are. But being able to sort of think innovatively with the tools that you guys have provided us has allowed me to be able to add some pizzazz and add some style to these videos, where you might think, oh, well, let's just use Zoom or some other service and just put people next to each other. It's much more involved than that. And I really think that helps allow people to, keep their attention transfixed on what we're creating for sometimes hours on end.
Definitely, yeah. I'm really excited about some of the new stuff coming out with Switcher too, because specifically for like on-screen graphics, like real-time donation counts and things like that. We're pretty soon we're going to be able to take the feed from SwitcherCast and overlay it on top of video, like as a transparency. So you're going to
Wow.
be able to take just the numbers themselves and just put it on top wherever you want, and knock out a dark background, for example. So it's going to be huge for, especially for this use case. I mean, I can see the possibilities are endless for that.
It's it's really an honor to be part of a show like this, Ernesto, because I recognize how hard you and Nick and Dan and everyone on the team there works to create these new innovative wrinkles. And it's our job as creators, I think, to continue to push the envelope and try and, push you guys right back. You guys are throwing all of these opportunities at us. And you can see on that screenshot there how I tried to use a different colored overlay there. You can see I've also used Canva quite a bit to kind of build around. So you can see some of that text is actually embedded into the background, which hasn't always been something that you could do on Switcher either. But, being able to use the specific color palettes, being able to use even the right fonts that match the brands. And you can see there across the bottom of the screen, sponsored by Switcher Studio, we're able to also incorporate sponsors onto the content that we're creating. And that's really allowed these giving days to raise a lot more money from a sponsorship perspective, when those sponsors know that they're going to get a real tangible takeaway, whether it's their logo on the screen, or of course we can load up a 30-second commercial and play it for them, or even have their representative come on, whether it's in person or via a virtual approach. We can give them the option. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge benefit to be able to brand the video, to brand the live stream according to the charity that you're working with, or the company you're working with. I think it's huge, and I think on those screenshots and on the videos that we've seen from you, you've done such a great job of like staying on brand for the organization. Sometimes it's everything to them. Yeah.
It is. Obviously some organizations are more obsessive about it than others.
Definitely.
But I think honestly, the biggest thing for me, Ernesto, has been the ease of being able to explain how simple it is for these virtual guests to join in and be part of what we're doing, right? All of these visuals that we're talking about, they're not really anything without the people that we're able to bring in and have them be part of the show. And, I'm very, fortunate to have developed these systems where, rather than trying to train each guest individually on how to join in and be part of the show, we can have a Zoom call, for example, and bring on 30, 40, sometimes 50 guests at a time. And I can pick up a phone and just say, here's how you're going to join, right? Just type in your name, give access to your camera and to your microphone. Don't check remote camera mode, and you're good to go. Right. And it kind of blows people's minds how simple it is. But then the experience of actually joining in and being part of the live interactive experience is something that many nonprofits have really appreciated, the simplicity of it, to be able to just jump on and focus on sharing their story and not on the back end of the technology.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That ease of use of like being able to join just using a web browser is really great. Like you don't have to install anything. You can just join in, and then the guests can see what's going on in Switcher. They see the live show as it's unfolding, just like we are right now. So it's really great to be able to have that interaction of your guests. They feel like they're part of the show, rather than just being like a disembodied voice in some kind of program that they can't see.
It makes a huge difference when they can see that program feed as well. You were talking about having that scroll across the bottom, and we've had quite a few moments where we'll cross that $2 million mark or that $3 million mark or whatever it might be while the interview is going on, and the host and the guest can react together, right? They can celebrate those moments as they're happening. And it's really fun to be able to capture those moments on video as they're taking place.
Cool. Yeah. Are there no other features that you feel like are essential for your live stream?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I have taken to the entire Switcher app as kind of a control center for me. And I find myself really moving back and forth between a lot of the different features. One piece that I think also is underappreciated sometimes in Switcher is the effects, right? Being able to crossfade, just adjusting my camera there real quick, but white and cube and twist. And also, I don't think a lot of creators really understand that you can hit the little arrow on the right side there, and you can adjust the length of how long that crossfade is going to be. And it's really allowed me to kind of create an artistic approach. Like when you're doing your introduction, for example, to have that slower fade into the host. And then if you're moving from something that is sharply ending and moving on to another topic, if you use the cube quickly, it'll kind of give the viewer the idea that something new is happening. Or if you're ending your point and you're moving on to something else that's kind of slower and offbeat, like the credits, you can use a slower transition effect to really kind of draw out the fact that the stream is coming to a close. So I love manipulating those effects that are available to us. I continue to push Ernesto for my little wish list. Like the more effects that we have, the more I think us creators are going to play with them and see how we can really create something that looks special. So I love using those effects that are available.
No, it's really great. I remember seeing those for the first time too in Switcher and being super excited, especially some of them are pretty goofy, like the twist and the cube, but it's fun. I don't know. I have fun with them too.
It's fun, but when you think about them in a cadence, right? And I come from a musical family, a musical background, and also a visually career. I used to work in newspaper design. And so when you have those special effects, if you use them correctly, you just want to use like a little dash of the twist every once in a while. That's when it really feels special. You don't want to lean on it too hard,
Right. Not every transition needs to be a twist, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or have the new snowflakes that I really like.
Yeah. All right. And then what? Yeah, there you go. See?
I feel like, hit it again, Ryan. I'm making like a Disney Channel commercial, right? There we go. You're watching Ernesto. That's beautiful. Perfect. That's great.
Oh man. So you did kind of hit on this a little bit, but what's your approach for testing your stream and troubleshooting issues? Because it sounds like you preemptively reach out to your guests and kind of train them. Like this is what you're going to expect when you're going to join a video chat session. But are there any other like troubleshooting steps or like testing that you do right before live stream?
I can brag for hours about the visual effects and everything. I am not as proficient in sound design as Dan and some others there in the office are going to be. So oftentimes when I'm getting set up, it's trying to get the sound right, especially when I'm traveling to a location. So I'll show you guys my studio here in a bit, but I'd say it's about 75% of the time I'm actually taking my kit out on the road and getting set up in remote locations. And then it's all about trying to make sure that we can hear each other and not have echo, stuff like that. So there's a lot of sound troubleshooting there. Yeah, you can see in Gainesville, Florida, you see my case there on the floor. And just, the simplicity of the AirPods as well. You don't really need much more than that, especially when you're traveling also. But in terms of testing with the remote guests, honestly, I think now 16, whatever months we are, however many months we are into the pandemic, I think most people are really prepared to join a virtual broadcast when they see how simple Switcher is. They know to just press the remote camera or the access to the microphone and such. And I created a video on YouTube. It's called How to Be a Great Virtual Live Guest. Maybe we could throw that in the comments as well. And have used that video to help train the organizations that are going to be participating as well in terms of getting their lighting set up and their sound and everything. So, it's really just kind of hang on tight and let's go. And this better than anyone, Ernesto, when they do have a problem with their joining in the video, it's really just hit refresh, make sure you gave access to the camera and the microphone, don't hit remote camera mode. If it doesn't work on your computer, then just grab your iPhone and we'll just do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times too, if for instance they're on Wi-Fi and it's misbehaving, maybe turn off the Wi-Fi and use LTE instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's more of a volume play too. When you're bringing on 50 or 60 guests, if one of them has some tech issues and they can't connect, we gave you the chance to test it out beforehand, and the day just rolls on. You can't allow yourself as a producer to get too hung up on any one individual thing.
Right.
You have to just keep the show moving. And that's been another big adjustment is understanding kind of when to stop, when to kind of turn the app off, and all these different things. So all of that comes with practice. All of that comes with, that's the hard part, right? We all know how to press the button and talk, but really the troubleshooting is something that comes with experience. And, it's also a blessing too, real quick, to have a great team on hand. I know Angela was just replying to me yesterday about, tickets. And if you notice something that's going wrong in Switcher, your whole team is there ready to jump on it and fix it. And that's a really great element of what you guys have there in Louisville. Yeah,
definitely. I think for me, the best feature that we can offer as a company is good technical support. Like if everyone's going to have a bad day during a live session, but if we can help you out or, try to resolve the issue, that's more important than the issue itself.
And I would just take 5 seconds here to give a real quick shout out to Dan and Angela, who do those office hours type videos every week. Like if you're a Switcher creator and you have questions about how to best use Switcher, no matter what your skill level, go join them for a half hour and just watch how Dan uses Switcher, just himself. I learn something new every single time I watch one of those shows, and it's super helpful. So, I hope you guys do even more of that here as we move into the second half of the year, because it's been very, very helpful to me.
Definitely. Yeah, it's also a great way to keep up with the new features of Switcher. Because, even if you're a longtime user, you might miss out on stuff because you didn't see the blog or the email or whatever. But if you hop on those videos and see a demo of the new features being used, it's great.
There's always something that I learned. I mean, Dan the other day went to the color palette and he just typed in white. And I was like, wait a second, you can just type in the name of a color and it shows up. And he was like, yeah, so again, it's sometimes little things that maybe you might even not know that you don't know.
Right.
But every time you try something new, you're going to learn how to do it better next time. So Switcher is just this never ending learning curve. And I love being on the other side of this to keep pushing you guys on the dev side to try and create things that really take advantage of everything that's made available in Switcher.
Definitely. Yeah. For those of you just joining us, we're with Chris Strub, who's a longtime Switcher Studio user and producer. We're talking about how to master using Switcher Studio for your live stream. So if you have any comments, please leave them in the live comments, and we'll try to answer them as we go along. But yeah, let's move on.
This camera as well, so you can see here, just using another one of my iPhones here. So this is kind of my remote setup. You can see, I don't know if you can still hear me through my mic, Ernesto, but first and foremost,
I can hear you.
I like standing when I'm creating video. That would be one big tip I would offer to creators who are thinking of hosting an event like this. I think standing just in general gives you a different type of energy. So you can see I've got my microphone set up here. Sorry about the clinking. I've got a ring light that barely works. If I tap it, it'll turn back on. That'll be the next big purchase after the Tesla. Yeah. You can see here, I've got the Switcher up here, kind of at eye level here. And maybe this lighting isn't great because I'm pointing towards the window now instead of away. But you can see I kind of just keep everything at eye level. This was something I didn't know about for a while either. You can adjust the size of what you're doing, of what your source is over here. And so for me, sometimes I'll adjust even in the middle of a stream to make sure I'm grabbing the right asset. But by keeping the assets smaller over here on an iPad, you're able to really access a lot more. The other thing that I really have loved using lately, Ernesto, are the sound effects, right? That's a new thing that was introduced just a couple months ago. And in addition to the sound effects, you see I've got drum roll and applause are my two most used ones, but really bringing in musical files and using them in a transitional way has been transformational for me to be able to, again, create some additional production value. I also use a mirrorless camera that you can see here. Again, not in great focus because I'm pointing at the window, but using a cam link device, which you can see over here. Cam link. I've had a lot of people ask me in the switcher enthusiast group, like, oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, it's just a cam link and an HDMI cable. And I use it all the time as my camera, not just for switcher, but for other meetings and everything. So, and this is the really professional way to attach a battery pack to your camera. Just hang it up there. But yeah, I love using that mirrorless camera as an input. And with that cam link, basically your camera shows up as a webcam on your computer, right? It does. It's very, very simple to just plug it in and it's right there. And it really makes a big difference.
Very cool. Yeah. So like one of the things that we're releasing actually very soon is the ability for Switcher to appear as a webcam in your computer. So that's going to allow people to like feed Switcher into like a Zoom meeting, for example. Wow. And anything that shows up in the program feed, it'll just appear in Zoom as a webcam. So, it gives you even more flexibility. Sometimes you just want to do like a quick meeting, like, have a small audience in a Zoom meeting and then still do all the neat things we've been showing you at Switcher, right? So, yeah, it's going to be really neat.
It always amazes me when I see these update emails and I see, the updates in the App Store and everything. Like, it's just, it's really fun from the creator side to be able to take advantage of all of these new wrinkles that you bring in and try and do so in a way that really fits the approach to what you're taking. But, the biggest lesson that I would want to leave everybody with is just try it. Just iterate, right? Like I've been saying that for years is you never know unless you try. I would never be working in the Giving Day space unless I gave it a shot back in 2017 in Louisville. I've got my Give for Good shirt on here. And just have really grown year over year in this space and really have helped these community foundations and other organizations, build their giving days as we've gone along as well. But it starts, Ernesto, with the courage to try. I'm sure that Switcher started with that same sort of courage as well. And that little idea that has become this incredible company.
Right. You're totally right, because I think the tools have gotten to the point where they're not that difficult to use. And it's pretty easy to get started with Switcher, or really a lot of other tools as well. But I think that initial anxiety or fear of being on the camera or just trying to do something kind of paralyzes people sometimes. And really, I think if you just do it, if you just try it one time, I think most people would get it. It's better than nothing. Like if you don't do anything, then there wouldn't be a Giving Day, right? So,
yeah. And, I didn't have Ryan pull B-roll from the Giving Days that I did, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but they certainly didn't look like they look now. And that is just because, not to humble brag, but I've gotten better at what I've done by doing it over and over again. So when you start somewhere, it's just important to remember to keep pushing yourself and keep learning. Go to these office hours, watch what other creators are doing, connect with other creators in these Switcher Facebook groups and ask. It's a very friendly, open community of people who would love to see you succeed. And I've been blessed to connect with a lot of them. And, if anybody's watching and wants to connect with me, you can find me, at Chris Strub across all my channels, and just add me on Facebook as well. I'm a pretty open book.
Yeah, definitely. Talk about a little bit about how do you keep retention like high during these 24-hour streams? Because it could get repetitive if it's just one talking head for 24 hours, right? So how do you get that? How do you keep that pace?
Average watch time is the #1 metric that I track through every Giving Day, right? Because that tells me how much of a viewer's attention we're able to really grab onto. So some of the features like you've seen Ryan using here throughout the show, including putting people's comments on the screen, has been an enormous part of what we're doing. I think creating great subject matter, creating interesting content that people are really interested in listening to is another piece of it, right? It's one thing to try and create something from nothing, but with the idea of a 24-hour online giving day, that's designed as a community-wide celebration, and people want to be watching and listening. They're looking for different ways to get involved. So really, I'm providing through these videos something that people are looking for, right? It's the same thing with being able to watch your kid's baseball game, or, I can't go to church because of COVID, but I can still listen in and I can participate. So think about how what you're creating is something that is essential to the audience that you're speaking to, right? Roanoke Valley Gives, for example, was essential to the Roanoke nonprofit community, right? You can see these interviews, and that's Caitlin in the top left-hand corner. She was our host for a bit there, but these fundraising efforts are absolutely essential to the organizations that are participating. And so we treat it that way, right? That people want to be part of something bigger. That's the big idea behind a giving day. And then Ernesto, it's really just a carefully balanced concoction of using all of those different visual and audio elements that we've talked about, right? I don't want the viewer to necessarily, sometimes I want you to know what's coming next, and sometimes I don't want you to know what's coming next, right? I'm going to keep you on your toes so that you want to keep watching and you want to keep listening. I don't want it to be like a horror movie, like you're going to be surprised, at every turn. But I do want there to be a careful balance of, here's what's coming next. Here's, what you're going to enjoy. And then bam, here's some surprises that are going to interject through the course of the, many hours that we're creating. So it's designed to be a comfortable, enjoyable experience. And those who have watched our live streams, I found, our average watch time has really skyrocketed. I used to think that 15 seconds for a video on Facebook was a great watch time. And now some of the videos that we're creating have an average watch time of over a minute on Facebook.
Yeah.
And if
on
you talk
Facebook,
about,
that's a huge deal on Facebook. Yeah.
That's an enormous amount of watch time for an average watch time on Facebook. And then on YouTube, I've been using custom RTMP a little bit more to be able to dual stream to people's YouTube channel, or, the foundation's YouTube channels as well. I've seen average watch time of 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Like it's completely off the charts. Again, it's like measuring apples and oranges because it's YouTube versus Facebook, but still the numbers are very, very promising when you can see average watch time that's more than several minutes long.
Yeah. Definitely, like on Facebook, when people are scrolling through their timeline, you might get a 10 or 15-second view just because they stopped there for just those few seconds and then watch it. If you get a minute view, that means they actually stopped scrolling and they're paying attention to you for that minute. And that's long enough to actually engage with the audience and get them to connect with the foundation, with the organization, whatever, and then hopefully even donate. So
especially when the calls to action are very clear. And Ryan's been showing a lot of these screenshots throughout the day here, using those little animated bubbles that kind of show up on top of part of the screen. I really use those lower thirds in, I think, a pretty innovative fashion as well, to kind of alert people as to kind of what you can do. You can see there the donate now button in the bottom right-hand corner. That's not part of the multi-view. That's kind of just there as something that's animated that's going to remind you to donate. Now, I'm not flashing it every 2 seconds like a light bulb, but it does come on and off as a reminder to go make your donation at the website. There's the hashtag. And you can see even across the top of the screen, that's Janine, the host there on the right. And right there, on the yellow background, it says donate at nhgives.org. Like, where to go, what to do. This is your opportunity to do it.
Definitely. Yeah. Those calls to actions are very important.
Yeah. Same thing.
Awesome.
Same idea there with Give Local 757. You can see how we use the color contrasts between the multi-view and then the lower thirds. And I love being able to reposition those lower thirds in real time. Ernesto, it's like there's, if you want to try and do stuff like this 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you need a control room full of computers. You need super expensive technology. And what you guys have done at Switcher is really empowered me as a creator to do a lot of these things just from my iPad.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly special to be able to do that in a dynamic way, in a simple way, where these organizations don't need to hire a full, 8 to 10 person team that they might have in the past. I'm one guy, and we can really create a lot of magical moments.
A lot of these organizations don't have a huge budget, and they really shouldn't be spending this donation money on producing video. Like it should be going towards the cause, right? And when you're able to offer this service to them at a cost that meets their requirement, their needs, it's huge. And it might have been something that in the past they would have just said, we want to do that, but it doesn't make sense right now. We can't do it. And now there is not a reason why not. I mean, you have all the tools. You have someone like Chris putting together these awesome graphics and templates and making you look really good on camera. So
that's the thing. The budget might not be the same as what you might expect at a big multi-million-dollar company, but the power of the stories that are being told during these giving days and the importance, the critical nature of these nonprofits. Oftentimes we're talking, Ernesto, 400, 500, 600 plus nonprofits that are participating in these giving days. And a lot of them can't survive without the funding that they get on a giving day. So this is mission critical stuff that we're doing to get the word out about their efforts and their needs. And to be able to do that in a way that visually and audibly is representative of the importance of what their needs are, has been incredibly valuable.
Yeah, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, well, I wanted to make sure that people have the chance to put in their questions. So we'll answer those questions if we have any during the capstone, the end of the show. But also I wanted to make sure, like, Chris, if there was anything else that you wanted to add or to tell the audience before we sign off and head into questions.
I mean, I just can't express my gratitude enough to the team at Switcher to be creating a number of giving days this year that are officially sponsored by Switcher Studio. You see, I've got the hat on for one of them, the Roanoke Valley Gives. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed a little button up there too, my little Switcher.
Yeah.
Button.
That's awesome. You got your flair.
Yeah. If I press this, do I turn the whole stream off? Is that how this works?
Oh no, maybe that's what happened earlier.
But it's just, on behalf of the community foundations that I've worked with this year, with these Switcher sponsored days, it's meant everything to them. It's really meant the world. And I'm just very, very blessed to be able to help support these organizations that we've had a chance to highlight. It's a very, it feels like a powerful position to be in, to be able to help amplify hundreds of stories in this way and be able to help these organizations raise money. And I can't ever say thank you enough, both to you guys for making it happen and to every single one of the people that's been on the other side of the camera, for me throughout the course of this work. It's just, it's extremely humbling.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. To you too, Chris, for everything that you do. I mean, this is everything to some of these organizations, like you mentioned, like they wouldn't survive without these giving days or the donations from people that support them. And you're making that possible. And we're really happy that we can be a small part of that.
It's not an inconsequential amount of money either. I mean,
no.
in Louisville last September, Give for Good Louisville raised $7.6 million.
Wow.
For these participating nonprofits, within the confines of a 24-hour period. And, people are like, Chris, what's a giving day? What do you do? I'm like, how does $7.6 million in one day sound? Like that's enormous. And it really can help change the entire temperature of a community sometimes. I mean, in York, Pennsylvania, they raised over $3 million in a day. Wow. And that's probably a tenth of the size of Louisville, So it's really great to see how people come together and how oftentimes they really rely on listening to and watching these live streams to keep in tune with what's happening throughout the course of the day. So it's It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's so critical too. So thanks again for what you do and for you know and for letting us be a part of it too, because it's so great to be able to also like sponsor and be able to give back a little bit to these communities as well. And again, thanks everyone for tuning in and watching, and also for bearing with us through a few minor technical issues. We're testing out a beta. We're kicking the tires on it, so of course we might run into problems. But and again, thanks Chris for joining us.
It's been my pleasure anytime, and thank you again, Ernesto. I mean, you have just been a remarkable partner in this journey over the years. I know I've elbowed you a few times, to get some things fixed and to add some things in, and just the work that you personally do as well. I'm just endlessly impressed, and just grateful that you've been such a great part of the Switcher team over the years as well. So thank you to you, to Nick and Whitney, and to everyone at Switcher. You guys are just great people. And as I told other Nick, new Nick, maybe I'll get invited to the holiday party this year, because I've been.
I think you should. Yeah, you should drop by. It'd be awesome.
I would. I hear they have bourbon in Louisville, so
yeah. I think I heard that too. Yeah. I think
Thank you so much.
Ryan texted me. Let me see if we have any questions. But if not, we might be able to just answer them offline. But yeah, I think what we'll do maybe is here we go. We have one. Active tracking would be icing on the cake, in my opinion. Okay, so related to active tracking, there's something that you can do today that's really awesome. If you have a iPad M1, the brand new iPad Pro, you can turn on the, is it called the front row or the center stage feature? I forgot what the specific term is. But you can turn that on, and any app that uses the camera will automatically track faces and like move the camera along with the person. So that's a feature of the new M1 iPad, and that works on any app, including Switcher. And we will be looking into incorporating that directly into Switcher as well in the future. So look forward to that. Yeah. Let's see, talking about AirPods, my first interview was using AirPods, and there was an echo that may I have been doing wrong. So AirPods, that's strange that you saw an echo. You might want to make sure you enable voice mode in Switcher if you're going to be using AirPods, because that will automatically turn on echo cancellation. The best thing you can always do is just like wear headphones and have a nice microphone, just like Chris has right now.
The other thing that I used to screw up all the time, and hopefully I've learned that lesson now, is if you're in the video chat room, as I am now, obviously, and you're switching from your iPad or whatever, this might sound really simplistic, but you have to remember to mute the iPad and just speak through your video chat
your
room.
Laptop. Yeah.
That would definitely cause echo. It's something that I've screwed up before. In fact, we were just experimenting with some headphones here earlier before the show started, but that would do it for sure if you forget to hit the mute button on your Switcher device. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, so double check that. Make sure you don't have to have open air mic and an open air speakers too. That will cause an echo. What do we have here? Would love to understand better how to integrate remote guests and view Zoom guests. I work in the live theater. So so what we're using today is Switcher video chat, and you just send out a link to your remote guests to join in using their web browser, and then they give access to the camera and microphone to that browser, and then boom, they're inside of Switcher. In some cases, you do need to kind of mix it up and have Zoom be part of your production. Some productions require a large Zoom room, like you can have like 200 or 1,000 participants in a Zoom room. So we have articles in the support center on how to get Switcher into Zoom, but that's about to become much easier with the release of the next version of Switcher, I believe 5.5. It's going to have a feature where Switcher will appear as a webcam on your computer. So it'll kind of reduce the setup that you need to achieve that. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I think if I would touch on that too, when you're talking about bringing in a remote guest, Ernesto's
Mm-hmm.
talking about maybe having a larger group of people.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've never really experimented in trying to blend Zoom and Switcher. What I was mentioning before was I'll use Zoom if I'm going to do a training,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got this kind of down to a T where, 30 minutes, including questions, I can show everybody how simple it is to join Switcher. And then what I do, and I forget that gentleman's name, is essentially create a day-long schedule of when those guests are going to come in. You can have different hosts, or of course you can host it yourself. And then you just tell them, hey, like join the Switcher room 5 minutes before we're going to get going. And you mute their mic when they join in. You start the show. And then again, remember to unmute them when you get going, like Ryan did today. And you can move on to the next one, right? It feels really burdensome when you're trying to do things one at a time, but it's almost counterintuitive to think about if you have a large group of guests, just think of them as one of 40 and you should be fine. Don't stress out too much over each individual one. Just bring each person in when they need to come in. And then you can use your multi-views to have multiple people on screen at the same time. That's when it really starts to get fun, is you can have people talking to each other and, really kind of add a little pizzazz to your live stream.
Right. Because for Given Day and a lot of other interview type shows, it's not about having 40 people on the screen at the same time. That can become a mess very quickly. It's more about having a queue of people, and then you interviewing them a group at a time, or maybe just one at a time. And that's why video chat and Switcher with the 5 or 6 participants means that you can have people waiting and kind of watching along with you, and then you can throw to them. Okay, now Chris, we're going to introduce Chris, and then we put him on the screen, and now we're talking to Chris, and then Chris leaves, and then we bring in Tom or whoever, and then now we bring in Tom and then talk to him. So it becomes a nice flow of people that you interview.
That's kind of the whole idea behind what I do with these giving days. And again, I've tried to take the next advanced step of, using those the newer multi-views where you can have multiple people on screen at the same time. But you should start with something just like Ernesto has here, where I'm the guest. And if there was another guest lined up, what I would do, Ernesto, is first you'd say, thanks, Chris, for joining us, blah, 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 blah. Change your effects, go to cube, and then you just select the next person as an input on your switcher, and it will cube me out, and it'll cube the next person in. And it looks really official and professional and dynamic. And it looks like that person is making an entrance into the show.
It looks like you're changing the scene, which is so important.
Yeah. It's the little things that really make a big difference when you're building a production like this. And it's just with practice, you start to say, oh, that looks pretty good. Let me do that every time. And then when you think of your maneuvers almost as a style guide, right? Here's how I'm going to do this show. And I'm going to use the same type of fade in, fade out. I'm going to play the same music. I'm going to cue people the same way. It's not nearly as burdensome to do 8 hours instead of just 1 hour, because you already have the formula written. The variables are just the different people that you're speaking to throughout the day.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Okay, so I think that was all the questions. So again, thanks, Chris, for hanging in there too and helping us with the questions, and for hanging out with us and helping us kind of understand how you produce these amazing shows. And hopefully people watching and listening got some awesome ideas from you that they can take with them and apply to their own productions.
I wish I had a cake baked at the end, like some of your previous, I don't have anything pretty to present here now that we're done, but thank you so much, Ernesto, and Ryan and Haley behind the scenes have done an awesome job too. Just
definitely
very grateful to all of you guys for